And welcome back, folks, to our second match of our second cast of week one of the SpyParty Major League, also known as SML. I am Opie Wright here with Slappy Davis once again. We just saw another match, which I believe I'm not going to spoil because this is going to go up on YouTube later, but we did just see Calumet and Banana Bread duke it out. And it was a very entertaining set from those spies. Now we move up into Master, our second highest tier here in the SpyParty Major League, to watch a match between AstatineEffect and Hunu.
Yeah, and this should be a lot of fun because I would say that both of them have really high peaks, but then also some of them honestly drop matches that they shouldn't. So I am really hoping to see both of them in top form because I think that they're both kind of dynamic and fun players, especially on the spy side.
Yeah, and we did talk about the getting some predictions in, and we can't get that from the prediction league, but there is a prediction sheet from when there was a prediction stream done. And I kind of want to look at that to see what the community is thinking so far of these matchups. And just scrolling through, I've only seen AstatineEffect out of the top three in Master at the end of it all in one of these sheets, and not a single one has Hunu above him. So I would say that we have a pretty strong favorite community perception-wise coming into this match. I only see one sheet where Astine is winning Master, but that's not hard to guess given that Martini, recent recent Winter Cup winner, is in that division.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tricky, tricky to beat, but again, Astatine has really impressed, and I honestly so as Hunu, whenever I hear about a player being placed low in predictions, oftentimes I'll be like, oh, that's really weird. I mean, I'm probably not thinking about all the other players in Masters that could be placed above them, so I'm sure there's a good reason for that. But Hunu is definitely able to punch their weight when they need to. So very excited for this.
Yeah, and we do see the results for week one, other than this match up on the screen right now. Every other match has been played, so lots and lots of stuff to look at there. Guggy, Martini, and Levty winning their matches against Hoffnung, Max Snacks, and Beanie at the bottom end of the table after 1 week. Quote unquote bottom end of the table, right? And if there are no draws, that's where half the people are going to end up. So lots to play for here. And, we just want to get up on a strong foot.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, I would say kind of chalky, maybe I would say so far throughout what I'm seeing here. I would say those are probably the favorites in each of the matches that they've played. So I don't know if we'll have seen any surprises yet. So this would be either a point in favor of, I would imagine how the community predictions would have played out so far. But I would say out of all the matches, I would say this is probably the closest one. I don't know who Max Snacks played. And maybe that one would have been a little bit
I
closer, but
believe Max Snacks played Lev. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, that is confirmed. Max Snacks played Lev in week one. Lev T, very strong player, has been around for quite a while. Hasn't had the big victory that I think he's looking for, but just very solid all around, all the time.
mhm. And also I'm excited for just the future in which we got to cast Max Nass versus Guggy. That's hell of a matchup. Love that.
Yeah.
Super excited for that down the road as well.
But for today, we have this matchup, AstatineEffect versus Hunu, and I know that I kind of jumped the gun on this new draft format in our last match, but this time it's actually true. Up here in Master, we have a first to 9, and it's a little bit different than we've had in the past. Each player will first ban, then restrict as normal, then we'll have 6 single picks, after which there will be a delay portion that players can opt to push a venue to the end of the match, which, just by nature of not playing out all these games, if someone clinches it, might make it a little bit less impactful, just because you're not going to see it as consistently as a venue. Another fun thing about this format is that you can actually get at the end of this all, once you've delayed, you get multiplies, which means you get 2 extra games on that venue, and you can multiply your opponent's pick, which means we can end up with 6 games on one venue.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious to see how players do this because, like, I would say back in the day when we talked about really complicated additions into drafting, just wasn't enough familiarity with the maps, well, venues. Excuse me, I keep saying maps. Enough familiar with the venues and ideas around sequencing that people were just going to do whatever they wanted, like even restricts. At first, people were just like, I don't know what to really do with these. I'll just restrict something I kind of don't like. But now I think that we have come into a lot more familiarity with these setups
Mhm.
and our preferences around them. That I think there's going to be meaningful interactions with things like the delay. I think some people will just kind of ignore it, right? They're
Yeah.
just going to not really bother with it. They're going to say, I'm going to have to play these maps, and if I don't get there, then I wouldn't have won them. I personally always would want there to be like an out for myself later in the map. I hate finishing on like veranda or something where I feel like it's going to be kind of like one of those split maps. I like the at least theory that I could sweep whatever the last venue is, but that's about as far as my strategy would go.
Yeah, going into this particular draft, I know we've been talking about the format a little bit. We have Astatine choosing to spy first, and then Banana Bread choosing to pick second. So Astatine bans balcony, pretty common ban, I feel like. Lots of players don't like that one. Hunu banning pub, Astatine restricting terrace, Hunu restricting moderne, an interesting choice. Astatine picks Redwoods, Courtyard, and Gallery, while Hunu picks Tayen, Ballroom, and Terrace. There is no delay in this set, Slappy Davis, so unfortunately we don't get to see any kind of strategy form around that just quite yet. Then we have a multiplication of Ballroom, my Astatine, just my favorite player now, and Hunu multiplies Tayen. So we're going to see four games on each of those, and both of those are very, very not swingy venues necessarily, but lots of skill expression on both sides of the laser, and really leans this into this is going to be who can play better on the day kind of match.
Yeah, agreed. Except with Tayen being skill expression, just random. But no, I'm kidding.
We can
There's
agree to
definitely
disagree
skill
on that
expression
one.
on Tayen, but I am excited for all of them. I also excited to see that this is quite a few different maps than what we got to see last time, which is always just fun between the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't. Interestingly enough, what I'm, you know, there is a concept in other games known as like draft. Oh gosh, I just forgot the term for it. But basically, how often something appears in a draft at all. And Aquarium, very high draft appearance rate. Whether as a ban, a restrict, or a pick, don't see it at all in this one.
That's a great point, right? Like I know what you're going after. Where there's like in any game like a MOBA or something like that, there's some characters that are neither banned nor picked, and like they're just like irrelevant, so to speak. Aquarium, you're right, is one of the ones that just kind of often shows up. The ones that kind of don't show up necessarily as much are like balcony. Oftentimes just doesn't show up. There's kind of like almost like the agreement that now they want to play balcony. By the way, also just banning balcony. I don't think Aston was going for this, but banning balcony is also sometimes just a signal of I think that I am the favorite, right? And
Yeah.
that balcony is the underdog's pick. I actually think there are better maps now to pick if you're the underdog, but a little bit of potentially the statement there.
And I will say, even though we didn't see the three venue, sorry, six games on one venue, we did see Asatine multiply Hunu's pick a Ballroom. So now that we've gone through that draft, I think we've said pretty much everything we have to say about that one. Let's get into this first game. AstatineEffect playing as Ponytail on Redwoods. Didn't get to see that at all last set. We saw a lot of Ponytail last set. Not to spoil anything too much in this particular one. But it was very, very interesting. AstatineEffect coming in as the favorite a little bit here. We'll see if that plays out in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And we start with drink in hand. Let's see. We're gonna veer away from Ambassador entirely. Going to go for this flirt. I wonder if we'll even just ditch this
Red
bookcase.
test on the
Oh,
seduction here, so she's gonna slam that right back into blue. It's something that's very, very hard to notice on something like Redwoods, especially in Time of Chaos. So I wouldn't expect it to hurt us, except for the fact that we don't get that flirt, which is relevant.
yeah. That. So sometimes there's always the question: if you see a red test flirt, you're always like, was it intentional? Was it not? That's like all downside, honestly. So it was definitely an unfortunate mistake, but it's not also uncommon. I bet there's some stat out there.
Ooh,
Oh, we're gonna do a walk
look
away
at this
delegate.
cheese. Yeah. And it was off screen because we were covered up by the trees at the moment that we did it. Of course, we were seen walking away from the bar, but the hardtail was covered from Hunu's side. So I would say that there's no downside to having done this. However, it's not something that is uncatchable from who. Never mind, we're a highlight. I seem to need to eat my words here, while Hunu just finds this. Oh, or was it a mistake? Was it a mistake? Maybe it was a mistaken highlight, and I got excited all for nothing.
Yeah,
We
no,
did send up
it's like
the delegate though.
right. It's true. We're finding that off. Please, snipers, be careful with your highlights, not to get our expectations up. The purloin goes off, and let's see the reaction time on it. It looks like we might be still looking at. I know we highlight Duke, but it's taking a while for us to seem like we're parsing out what's going on here.
Yeah.
We're lingering near Duke, but we do highlight White Dress. So I think that we're in a bit of trouble here on Hunu's side.
Yeah, a bit of trouble, but Astine can't be feeling too complacent either. Even though we did get away with that, seemingly, we don't know that for sure on Astine's side, as well as the fact that we don't have any flirt, and we are getting down to 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock. If we had some flirt, I would feel a lot better about our chances, because we can get that contact, get that flirt really quickly done, and just find one more thing, potentially a bug, as Redwood tends to be. But with needing 2 more flirts and picking up the highlight here,
Yeah, this looks like a path into a contactable
34%
position.
is not going to be the one you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Duke is. Oh, this is a great contact opportunity. If we're not sure if Duke took that list,
Yeah,
we
and look
got
at
to
him. He's talking
contact
immediately.
soon.
He's talking immediately. You've got to go for this contact, Astatine. Yes, there it is. Green test. And he's
It might.
talking. And we might be able to frame Duke here, get someone shot. But in the meantime, I think Hunu's just ready to hold.
Yeah. This is really an interesting test
Look at us.
for
We are
Hunu
just
for
on
sure.
screen. I think we're about to get shot. Look at the laser focus as we go and flirt for the second time in this game. I think we would have been seen at the first bookcase, and Hunu just tracked that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like this is what I like about Redwoods is this is where we can really see where we're looking in the screen, and we're always keeping a slice of the map on Pony, and we even neutral light Duke. So it does seem like we're in a lot of trouble here. What looked like a really promising start. We're gonna also just probably time out unless we get this flirt and bug. I'm gonna guess is the
Yeah.
play.
But we can't even get the flirt in because we're just not going to have enough time. We flirted before, under 45 seconds, so it's just not going to happen. We're going to commit to the timeout here from Astine or not. I don't see what the point of this is. We're not even going to get to mission win count on it, even if we got the bug. Uh, there wasn't much to do at that point, but you might as well at least just commit at that point.
Yeah,
Or go for a time ad. Time ad might be the more last ditch effort play that makes more sense.
yeah, absolutely. Like I think if at the 10-second mark, I guess we could have tried to path over to Ambassador, maybe get a bug, and then redirect in conversation circles to be enough to get the furt cooldown timer. But after really engaging start from Assatine, slow down a little bit. But that said, Hunu really did pick up on it. I was really worried for Hunu when that contact came off and Duke was in conversation.
Yeah, that was an impressive hold there from Hunu, letting Astatine time out. Very confident feeling, it seems like, especially with how much attention the spy was being given right at the end, even though they were not done with missions. Hunu now on the spy side, trying to start off the set with a very commanding control over the favorite 2-0 potential, but always you just gotta get that spy win. It's all about that spy win. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And you mentioned the first cast about depth perception with Queen. This is actually a really fun one to play around with that on Queen. So I'm curious if we'll be able to see some of that. We are going to be starting at statues, getting one inspect, kind of watching how the party shakes out here.
Yeah, and picking up a highlight in just a moment. There it is. As every other statue visitor to start goes. And this is not as bad as it is. I mentioned last time gallery is very, very weak for inspects, especially early inspects, because of how the inspects are set up. But lots of the mission progress in this venue, lots of the mission density are centered around those statues in this case. So picking up a highlight for it is not as devastating as it might be somewhere else, just because there's a lot of other AIs they're gonna pick up the same kind of thing and complete inspects at a much higher rate than on something like gallery. So while I still don't love going to inspects early, just because highlights make everything harder, it's not going to be as bad in here.
Yeah, and agreed. But like the because like you're saying with with Redwoods, if you do a highlight inspect strategy, you just end up with so many highlights on Redwoods,
Yeah.
and it's just honestly it feels claustrophobic. Like I'm trying to shake myself from doing highlights on Redwoods just because I just end up with way too many because of books, right? Of course, right? And all
Mhm.
the fact that there's 6 statues, microfilm has the inspects on them. It just really boxes you in if you do it because like already, yeah, we're highlight, but we're one of 7 highlights.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. It's one of those venues where you might be better served highlighting for something like bar if you're going to do memory highlights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're not going to use them for behavioral stuff, which is honestly like it is just tricky. This is one of the reasons I just love Redwoods. I'm not actually very good at Redwoods, but I love all of the space and resources that the snipers have to do to figure out what they want.
Yeah,
We
it's a very
are
unique
burning
venue.
through a little bit of time at this point, though. We are seeing if other people come into this, but like I don't know, fishing for more people in this contact is not worth the time that we're burning towards it.
Yeah, 1:20 left on the clock, and we only have that seduce done. We got the two green flirt, so that was nice. But if you're not going to do anything else with that time, it's just not going to do much. We do, of course, see that contact, and it is very good. There's only a couple lowlights, and both conversations have an SDA in them, so you're going to get a lot of people who are getting credited with that, have that extra mission progress, and might get shot by Astatine. But in the meantime, you're not getting anything else done, and how are you going to finish missions here? It's not like this is a venue where you can actually go inspect swap when you need 2 more inspects. That is the one downside of having those books in the center of these statues instead of a regular 3 statue set. If you want to inspect swap, you already need to have 2 done.
Yeah, and it looks like what we're going to do here is we're going to
This is
grab book
awkward.
and then we're going to return right for
Yeah, but
oh,
this
we're being
is
super zoomed in.
yeah, super zoomed. And I think because of that positioning and walk into bookcase, if we were being very accurate about things, we probably should have bounced off of it at some point while Duke was doing that. So I think we're just gonna get shot as soon as we walk over here. Yeah, we were fully on screen for that entire journey. We were fully focused in, but really it was our only chance at actually completing missions there. So I don't mind the attempt. But that does mean that we are 1-1 coming out of Redwoods, which again, the doubles or multiplies don't always come at the beginning of the venue like they do, rather beginning of the match like they do in the gem divisions, because of those delays. And you can multiply any venue that was picked, and they will come in the order that they were picked in. So this time we do have Tayen, which I believe
Real
was one
quick,
of our multiplies.
the tragedy that did not unfold. So Hunu was saved a little bit. We actually we did an action test microfilm
Oh
before
no!
we were put back. So if we didn't, because we were trying to get the instant
Yeah,
inspect,
the
right?
instant
Of
inspect.
course,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was going to be real bad in the moment there. So honestly, except for me now pointing it out in the action test log, it would have actually been probably a little bit more tilting for who to have gone through that.
Yeah.
So we bail ourselves out maybe in a way there.
All right, first of 4 games on Tayen now. This is Hunu's Multiply, and first pick in the entire draft. So you would expect Hunu to be pretty comfortable here, but what can Asatine do on the spy side? This is one of the venues that we do say spy wins are going to be a lot easier to come by. It's actually about controlling the sniper. Usually, it's that opposite narrative of can you find the spy win. This one's a lot more even, a lot more. Can you actually win that sniper? Because it's just so chaotic sometimes. So let's get it going. Let's see the chaos in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
Without giving too much intel away to future opponents, do you find yourself trying to find? Oh, well,
Speaking of
actually,
chaos,
before that, great bug on the way through. I don't think
yeah,
there's any chance that we get, except for path, right? Like unless you're credited for path and going near it, really great opportunity for it, and just so early on that it's just so aggressive and
yeah,
lovely.
so early on, and that was if I think Hunu had been a little bit further over to the right, could have been a lot more visible through the shoji there. But at the angle it was very very bare, and it didn't seem like Hunu was on top of it. So we do have that bug relatively clean. It is a little bit less valuable perhaps than on some other venues, but it's still bug. It's still bug. It's still going to be a really good mission to have done.
Yeah, and what this opens up is if you get the bug early on in Tayen, agreed that like probably one of the least valuable missions to have that bug relative to other positions. But what it opens up is the front half of the map where you don't have to be sitting in the back waiting for that bug later, right? You don't have to fish for it. Like this position right here is oftentimes kind of a worthless position for spy, except when they're getting other things, but worthless relative to bug because they're not going to get bug from that position. They'd be seen, and so they kind of don't like hanging out there. So it's kind of like it's a
I want to say
behaviorally
there's
anti-tell.
Yeah, I want to say that there's some potential for just like an inspect swap into last flirt here, but that is definitely it's the play that I want to do because I'm me, and go for that silent game. But in this case, Astine does not go for it. Is going to go for the far more standard flirt contact, which still could get a shot because of how. Oh, never mind, never mind. We still might be going for that silent game. This is a printable book. I have spoke too soon of Astine's game plan. I like this a lot more than I like the swap idea.
Yeah, no, well, we have so
Oh,
many
well, never
options here.
mind. Never mind. I think this was an action priority, or we just didn't know the print was there. I think we should have changed our strategy as soon as the print was taken. Because look at this, safety off onto Assatine. But there's a double talk to get the last flirt. Here it was a green test.
He's
So we
ignoring
did
Toby.
get it done.
Oh no,
4
sorry.
seconds. And Hunu was safetying off onto Asatine, but Asatine just gets it done.
Yeah, and for a second there, I thought we were ignoring Toby, but that was actually General. Oh my
We had a
God,
book in our
you're
hands. We couldn't have
yeah.
been offered.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. No, so absolutely, I agree. That feels like it would have been a. I mean, I guess we might just have been like, okay, this is just going to do it right now. Do this here. We do this double talk. So Hunu really close to picking up that win. Kind of surprisingly, I guess, just because they went to if they were tracking the fingerprint, they're like, okay, he's going to finish with fingerprint. They might have been calling out for later, thinking that they had one more mission to track. So that was the good news about that bug early on is Hunu must have had credit on inspects, of course, contact, probably assumed flirt, and then thinks that they're going to do one more fingerprint to win.
Yeah, that might be it. Is just like a safety off because as a way to say, okay, I think you're the spy, but I don't think that you're done with missions. If you get one more print though, you're dead. That might have been more what we were looking at there, which is a little bit less scary. But for the drama, I want to say that Hunu almost shot.
Yeah.
Hunu now on the spy side, and a little bit unfortunately taking the worst end of these shoji setups here. Let's get going in 3, 2, 1, playing it. But playing a very good character for this venue.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying, we're Soji set up, especially because just the amount of pathing thrown, regardless of the actual obscuration itself, the ability for there to be rotations by just normal pathing through Amba, kind of snaking the way through the conversation circles. There's a lot fewer of those, and also Toby's out in view way more often.
That is true. Toby's out in view a lot more often. Those corridors are a little bit easier to handle. You have a little bit more of a wide view on sniper side to deal with the depth perception issues that those two stacked conversations can have. Just a lot of things to recommend this Shoji setup for the sniper over anything that has the front two being on opposite ends. We've said that a lot before. It's pretty common knowledge, but it always bears repeating, especially when we see games back to back where AstatineEffect made really, really big use of that favorable shoji setup, and Hunu is getting the bad end of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, additionally, we do not hit that difficult fingerprint. It does mean that we do know our seduction target has the first fingerprint. So, we're right up next to it.
That's
Are we
right
going
next to it. We could have considered a Twitch bug, something there. AstatineEffect, of course, was watching it, but the ambassador comes up to us. When that happens, you just, it's got to be on your mind. Hunu doesn't decide to go for it, but it's not like this was a missed opportunity. This was a very intentional decision. I don't want to take this because I think this is just going to get seen.
Yeah, unfortunately, also on the path out where Ambassador rolled up on us, I think that bug actually might have been the free one out of the two. But we end up with no bug. We might even still have credit.
Back next to us, and again, this is where that bad Shoji subs comes in. If either one of the two had been on the left side here in the front, we were playing a really strong character for standing bugs in terms of the amount of lean that happens, which is mostly what you'd be able to see through a Shoji, rather than the entire arm. But because there's no Shoji set up there for us, we just take this purloin. Oh yeah, it's green test, but that fate is completely seen.
Yeah, actually, really, really clear green for Tayen. One of the clearest greens that I think we could ever hope for. 99%.
That Shoji set up over and over again, and that 99% hurts so much. Somewhere off in the distance, Tobo is screaming.
Yeah, this is gonna be rough because I think the only way we could have won this at this point was probably going to be sneaking a win underneath the sniper's nose just while they're kind of whittling down the party. But I think like even if Sari's not a top suspect, I think our
Mhm.
level of knowledge around who could be done at all is
Yeah.
pretty high. There's so few non-Lowlit characters.
Yeah, fake
Oh,
contact
oh,
here
face
is
oh,
indeed
Master
fake for us,
Wheels.
but real for the front conversation. So we might be able to cause a shot here. We go for a walking bug through this little corridor. Unfortunately, we kind of get bounced around by General there, I believe it was, and are unable to make the bug stick. And now we just don't have missions done, and we're suddenly the bigger suspect. White swap, there it is. The shot comes off. Asstatine up. Now going to be 4-2.
Yeah, that just went all sorts of wrong after the initial pull. So unfortunate for them, but hopefully they're able to put themselves back together on it. This was just a unfortunate spot for that Purloin.
Yeah, very
Again, just so
unfortunate
few of them.
Shogi setup. Really, everything about that game did not pan out. I think Hunu, could have played in a way that did not emphasize the downsides of that party, because it really felt like the downsides were emphasized in that game just in the way Hunu had to play. But it's hard to, fight through some of those unfortunate aspects when you are on the spy like that. It just changes your game plan so much. So I don't blame Hunu for being really unable to convert that one. Astin once again getting the favorable Shoji setup. If this happens where Astin gets too favorable and Hunu gets too unfavorable, I'm gonna be concerned, because it is 50-50 whether you get the good or the bad.
Yeah, I think. Oh, actually, I think it might have. Well, the worst where there's not even the back soji. Because honestly, I guess you're right. The back soji is the only one that the back soji almost doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of like
It,
when
it,
the
it,
back
it
soji.
matters sometimes, but it really is a lot less relevant for sure.
Yeah, but regardless, agreed. See what they can do on teal.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Although at least this one, the angles are going to be a little bit easier to prep on, just because like the wide side. Although I guess this is the spot where it's harder to see Toby is when they duck in here.
Yeah.
All right, early flirt, useless, really
Wow, we're going for
small
this really early
conversations.
green purloin, and I actually like the timing of this a lot because of how Hunu's angle was there. Toby was very much in line with the sniper's view, did not present much of a profile at all, which means that rejects are going to be a lot harder just to see visually, and that tends to mean that snipers are going to miss it a lot more. Therefore, Asstatine could have gotten away with this. However, there was a big swipe over laser-wise to Teal there. Did not see a highlight, but I think we might have been caught.
Absolutely. All right, the purloin actually does occur. Toby's going to show themselves pretty quickly after the purloin. The conversation circles themselves not really full. Like for Tayen, weird amount of outside of conversation activity, and then as I say that, a bunch of people join the
Yeah.
back conversation
I mean,
circle.
that's why Tayen tends to have pretty full conversations, because it's very easy for AI to join and just stay there. Not too many other pads to be at.
All right, well, so this is honestly a pretty familiar type of Tayen test. If you played Tayen enough, you've been confronted with this situation plenty of times. There's an relatively early purloin. It's shown threat. You need to whittle down. You're going to hear a banana bread at some point. You're watching for flirts right now, and then you're going to be watching for one more thing, probably bug.
Smallman right next to the ambassador here, and Smallman is not a low light. That feels very, very bad if you're the sniper.
It does indeed, and they're going to be going straight to picking up a briefcase over here in the back.
Flirt completed here. I would not be surprised to see a meander on over to the double agent. That front conversation in just a moment from Asstatine. Could be looking for a bug on the way if Ambassador leaves him that green bookcase and anywhere that is favorable. So I would expect to try to time that there. Instead, we're just going to go for the green bookcase immediately. Not going to go for this bug, which is a little bit. I'm not sure I love that positioning, just because we could give credit for the bug, entirely.
Yeah, I would say we're already going to pick up the highlight for fingerprint. We're going to pick up suspicion for going down that path, and we're not going to have the bug in hand. And I think we're going to want it because we only have a minute left.
Yeah. Double Agent is now out of conversation with only a minute left in this game. Unfortunately for Asstatine, it's going to be really, really rough going forward, especially if these conversations stay a little bit sparse. Double Agent is now going into center statues, so Asstatine feels forced to go into these side statues. If this is printable, we could complete. Yeah, it is indeed printable. So that's 3 missions done. We could go for a swap, or we could go statue to statue. One of the two. Could go for a silent game. Lots of options here for Asstatine, but we don't even pick up a single inspect.
Yeah,
I think we're
and
the top suspect though.
I completely agree. And we're actually at the whim of Double Agent, who's really not been in conversation very much. Okay, they're leaving. They're leaving the statues. Are they heading to the back conversation circle? We're gonna be
No,
trying
no, they're
to. You
not.
got
We're gonna have to go for
Michael
like a
in
bug
there.
here. Surely you have to bug here. No, we don't. What do we do?
Yeah,
Asstatine
and they're
kind of crumbling here. There were lots of options, but now I think this is going to be the worst one of them with the ambassador maybe having to leave in just a moment. Here comes contact though. There's going to be just a smidgen of overtime. There's not going to be enough, but Hunu is on top of the prince here and potentially the bug. A little bit of suspicion there for that one, but yeah, I definitely think on top of the prince for that one to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and if we weren't, because we could have gotten shot theoretically earlier if we thought the bug was done. Because we that's the early Tayen purloin means you know that there's a threat out there, right? So you could if you completely miss the Tayen, it's 3 of 7, right? And so we had already reached theoretically 3 missions of seduce, print, and bug if we really were worried about the bug. But I guess we were certain enough that there wasn't a bug happening, and we were able to just like do that out again. Patience on Hunu has really helped him out.
Yeah, Hunu either was crediting a bug or just knew about the prince, and it's just it as spy you don't want to give the sniper the ability to have like one extra thing they could be getting on you for, even if you haven't done that thing. You never want to like give the sniper reason to think you might have done bug even if you haven't, because that's just going to make it a lot easier to shoot you. But Hunu manages to hold the sniper this time and is now within striking distance of making this even on their own pick. Hunu on the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Duke's interesting because like their hands are so different for reverse bugs.
Oh wow!
Okay,
Look
we're
at
gonna
this
have early
contact. It's
banana
so
bread. Oh my
beautiful. It's
god.
so beautiful. No one is out, and Hunu recognized it. Of course, if you see this, you just take the contact because it is perfect. No information was gained by the sniper except for the fact that everyone now has a contact. It is now 3 of 7 with contact off, and this early in the game, brutal.
Yeah, it's a bummer we didn't get that green flirt though. That was a bit sad. It was seduction target bailed right as it was finishing up. So a little bit sad there, but agreed that we're going to be more than happy with this start. Honestly, one of the funny things about this though
Ooh,
is
ooh,
ooh
we're behind a lot of people here. Taff has a very, very big silhouette and was accentuated by Queen using that Shoji right in front there. And we do see Hunu not getting unlucky again, winning the 50-50 coin flip to actually have that good Shoji setup. And it's really helping out. We do need to see one more animation microfilm, but because we're at the very, very front with the books, the Shoji covering books, you can do that again with more, cover from that.
yeah. Well, one possibility here, I think Ambassador's not far enough away for a briefcase return. Is you could go
Ambassador comes in
in and
potentially for a
use.
bug.
Ooh, yeah, right.
Twitch bug? We go for the Twitch bug. No, it's just standing. It's just a standing bug. That lean would have been visible on sniper camera. Does Astatine see it? Duke's lean is pretty subtle. Not, the most subtle in the game. But it's, if you're being just a little bit lazy, your eyes unfocused just that little bit, it's something that can be missed, even if you're watching for it. 100% now in the flirt. We need one more microfilm animation or something else at this point. If you think perhaps doing a full hardtail animation could be too risky.
Yeah, now the tricky part is briefcase. Or sorry, blue bookcase is going to have a fingerprint.
Oh
So the
no, ambassador's
first
coming
AI
back
is going
to
to
us.
go
So
there.
we bail as soon as the ambassador comes back to us. We don't want to get any more potential, bug credit than we do. And that actually a little bit there's a tell of a spy, which is funny. If you see ambassadors on a conversation and the person next to them just bails immediately, that's actually a bit of a spy tell because of that. I don't want to get credited. And look at
Right.
ambassador here at the front. I'm pretty sure, yeah, AstatineEffect was looking for that bug animation, so is going to see that there was nothing. And it's a fingerprintable book, but we're going to go for the microphone instead. We're behind the ambassador entirely, and that last bit of the animation was visible, but it just looked like a regular page turn because it was a green test. And Hunu is going to take this game with bug transfer so cleanly.
Yeah, absolutely. And at first, I was really worried about how much time Ambassador is spending at that book, multiple trips to the same bookcase. But then we're able to pick that up just beautifully. Something interesting is so Astatine was hovering over to expose the outline to try to see if an action test had happened. But we were aggressive enough with the timing of it, doing it early, not waiting, that by the time that we were hovering over trying to see the outline, it was too late.
Yeah, it was indeed too late. Just looks like a regular page turn. I think there is a slight difference between the two, but it's very, very subtle and you know, hard to see through a shoji in particular. That a very nice game from Hunu there.
Absolutely, and also just using the character well. I too often will see Tayen as one of the spots where I could just play any character because I don't really care as much on
Mhm.
Tayen. I think they kind of play more similarly. But we had the standing bug from Duke, which is wonderful, and the microfilms, which are actually some of the only more relevant animations, and we used both to perfection. So really well done, well planned out.
Yeah, now it is all tied up. We saw Aston take a little bit of an early lead, but struck right back for Hunu. And we're at 3-3 going into Courtyard. AstatineEffect playing as Salmon in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And it's definitely early on. This is first to 9, but if you're Asatine, you do kind of want to be ahead by now, especially when you did get that break on Tayen for the first one. So it's a little bit disappointing to have been ahead, and then suddenly now we're right back to even as if that had never happened. So just kind of got to shake that off here. We do see a really early green time ed, which I think is nice for Asatine. I'm not sure I'm in love with the really, really early inspects to go along with it, because we do pick up the highlight for anything else we do out for the rest of the game, and it is a little bit better to let the party marinate. However, at the same time, even though the threat is identical, snipers tend to have a lot less suspicion of early statue goers.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and of course, everybody in chat has to drink. Opie said inspects are bad. So everyone, all right, grab it, drink it, chug it, and you'll
I
have
mean,
to
if we
do
make that a
two
drinking
more.
game, we
Yeah,
might be the cause of some alcohol poisoning cases.
there we go. But
Oh
agreed.
dear.
I love that little green time at the start. We also, when we pathed away from the window, we just took a little bit of extra effort to stay behind the cover. We noticed the positioning on laser to minimize our time being seen walking away from it. We're just going to take this drink here. Looks like it's not fingerprintable, and
Yeah.
then just relax because we have so much time on this map now.
Indeed, we do. Relaxing, letting people go to center, not to center statues, to statues at all, because that will give you the completion. Statues are by far, they're at their best on Courtyard because of that fact. AIs will complete them constantly. They're very easy to slot into your game plan, and the highlight is a lot less influential than it might be on some other venues. So if you're gonna go to statues, it's gonna be on Courtyard for sure. That was a little ugly.
Oh, that's such a bummer, and it's going to be such a routine shot. Yeah, and we're probably both going to wax poetic about all the options that we had in this game, which is really lovely on Courtyard, and it was like almost comically bad just because the ambassador was putting down briefcase at the same time. So it wouldn't have been as bad of a bug if ambassador wasn't going down. I do think that
It's
we were
still pretty
still going to
bad.
have.
This is not the guest, I think, to go for that bug.
Yeah, I think that the gap between Oprah and Taft was going to still reveal our bug, but it wasn't going to be as routine of a shot. So
Yeah,
bummer there, but honestly, we had probably better opportunities to do other missions in that game.
especially
So
with
a
the time
little bit
matter,
of a
yeah.
rush.
Like
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm all for going for bug even if you have extra time, as long as it's a good bug. This just didn't seem right. Like I'm trying to justify it with some kind of laser lag issue, but Hunu was just on this side of the venue for so long. We're playing such a bad character for it, and it just is not going to work out. Um, you'll have to excuse me. I think someone's at my turn. I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good. Do we need to wax poetic for a second? Oh, I guess we do have to wax poetic for a second. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately, Salmon's bug there, not the best, just in general, but also just timing wise. Other than that, again, early on in the game, really liked our use of that green time and getting away with it. The other opportunity that we had kind of oh, sorry. One of the options that we
All right.
had was Bling Twin, our seduction target, had picked up in specs and was really actively moving around the party. And we were able to pick up some seductions because they were resetting our timer all the time. So Bling Twin was an opportunity to watch, but and yeah, unfortunately,
All
but
right,
just
we
ended.
are returned. Thank you, Slappy, for doing a little bit of extra analysis. I know that I was so hard on you. Uh,
I know,
um,
right? I hate doing that post game analysis.
yeah, I feel like whenever I cast with you, we end up going like at least 15 to 30 minutes longer than a regular cast would end up being just because we talk so much after the game's end. But speaking of moving on to our next game, so we don't aren't here forever. Um, Hunu now on the spy side in a slightly advantageous position because of that shot. Of course, it's still Courtyard. It's still going to be a little bit sniper favored. So, no alarm bells ringing for Astatine yet. But let's get going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
The other thing that kind of opens up for Hunu is sometimes you can be worried, okay, we're going to get a nice little seduction target or a little seduce out here at the window and bail out. Kind of a quick bail. Sometimes, let's see, who are players that would do that? Guggy, Legorv, maybe Grash. I don't know, Opie, if you care about quick window visits at the early of Courtyard, but sometimes people care about it. I don't think Assatene's one of them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. And even if it was, you would the attention would have been drawn to General, who joined our ST at the same window pad right after we left. Speaking of, the General is now a low light after that contact. It is a good early contact as these go. Only 2 low lights, and it's always that balance of how many low lights are you giving away and how early, compared to just the constant pressure of the fact that contact has been delivered and that mission is complete.
Yeah, and it's just you gotta sprinkle it in there. It's Courtyard, one of the easier mission maps to get a nice little contact on. But the sooner you do it, the more you're freed up to actually move around a little bit more.
Interesting
Um,
choice by Huna here. We had a full fingerprintable drink that came naturally to us from Toby, and we decided to just leave and opt away from it. I think maybe thought it was just a little bit too obvious that Aston would be on top of it. Instead, we go for a time ad as someone is offered and takes that fingerprintable drink. Now it's gone. So I actually like the timing when Hunu is, well aware of that print being there and knowing that Aston's going to have to pay a little bit more attention on that area of the venue. So we get that green time ad in, plenty of time left on the clock, but we do see a couple of low lights start to come in. I think that is because of the time ad, and it was on one of the highlights. Someone who had gotten a difficult print and had been to statues.
yeah, absolutely. And I too, anytime if anyone sees me ignore or walk away from a fingerprintable natural drink, it is because I am also calculating out exactly how much suspicion I want to deal with, and I'm trying to throw it off.
You knew it was there the whole time.
Yeah. All right. Well, now the time is going to be starting to catch up to us a little bit. Obviously, we're sticking around for flirt, but if we're not really actually confident in where Ambassador is, I feel like we need to actually start doing something. Like, I mean, at some point probably get those in specs, but I think we want to do our other thing first. But waiting here. Well, I mean, I actually, as I say that, Pony. Well, okay. Pony did not join us, therefore I am correct. We have burned too much time.
Yeah, 1 minute 30 left on the clock. And this is that part of the game where you still have time. You're not like in a complete time crunch, but you do need to start getting moving.
Well, it's the thing that starts happening at this point is your play becomes very kind of familiar. At that point, if you wait too long, you have less opportunities to throw surprises at the sniper. You're just going to do the sequencing thing of, okay, well, if I'm the kind of spy that's done, either finished flirt or finished contact, have 1 flirt left. I'm not committing yet to the actual 4th mission that I have to do. I'm going to go, I guess, inspect because I have nothing better to do, finish up flirt, and then go do that last thing. And it's just, again, very routine. So that, I mean, it's routine for a reason. It frees you up. It gives you all of the options here at the end between 5 different missions. You got to do one of them. But snipers have played it against it before, and they probably have some sort of coping mechanism.
Yeah, and that as you describe the routine, Hunu walks through the entire thing, going into statues here. We've already got the inspect, so this is going to be a potential swap, I think. But we're the only ones at statue. We're the only ones really doing anything. Here's the swap. Do we see it? I think the rotation's there in time. Yep, shot comes off from Astine.
Yeah, just not that much happening on the map. Ambassador pretty well guarded that game. Even with the time ad, which is, I guess, normally the kind of spice that gets thrown in there for Courtyard in particular, is that you have more bites at Ambassador. But Ambassador stayed in one conversation circle like almost through what would be a normal length of Courtyard, and they were just not buggable for all of that game, and so just an easy to control game, and Astantine did so.
Yep. And on to my favorite part of the set, Slappy Davis. It's 4 straight games of the best venue that Chris Hecker ever created. It's Ballroom. It's Ballroom. I don't know if y'all heard that because I don't think you can hear Nebula, but Nebula did interject and say gallery, and that is incorrect. It's Ballroom. 4 games worth. AstatineEffect starting on the spy side. I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, let's get to it.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
How do you feel about Seek on Ballroom? You have specific Seek opinions, or just one of many options?
I don't hate it. Ballroom is one of those venues where you play with depth a little bit more, so being taller is kind of a downside, but we are pretty speedy. Second fastest character in the game, if I recall correctly. So we can move around the venue, which is a little bit less important on Ballroom. So maybe some of Seek's strengths are not as well suited to Ballroom compared to other venues, but it just really isn't a bad choice in any scenario, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're fast. So Seek is one of the only characters that can keep up with Taff. So double walking bugs, pretty good. But oftentimes you don't want that on Ballroom. So it just kind of depends on what your bug flavor is, and like I guess like medium on bookcases where head turn not as bad, but still arm is gonna be the main thing that gets you on Ballroom anyway.
Yeah, for sure. We do take an innocent drink, go in for what is probably going to be a contact. It is a nice one. Going to let off a few lowlights here, but one of the lowlights just got a lowlit for pathing already, as it were. So only 2 overall, and most of the cast now has real contact. I'm sure Hunu is most likely keeping track of the 3 characters that do not have contact. It always depends on it's a really an adaptation thing. If most people have contact, it's easier to keep track of who doesn't, and if only a few do, it's easier to keep track of who does. But there are only 3 in this case, so it's not that big of a strain on memory.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And sometimes you even throw, okay, we're going to pick up a fingerprint here. Sometimes you throw lowlights on those characters just because you're not really using the lowlights elsewhere. But so far, Hunu seems to be keeping their lights pretty clean. I actually don't know what the highlight on Duke was for, but there's not actually a ton of highlights or lowlights coming out. And so I think you're right. I think committing it to memory and just using it in that space, and then maybe you shade a little bit touch kinder to them if they
Fully
do like
completed
the
with
path.
fingerprints here. AstatineEffect gets a highlight that we haven't seen on other single statue visitors, so I do think Hunu is aware of this. We need one more flirt and one more statue visit potentially to be completed with missions. But if if Hunu knows about these prints, then that's just not going to work.
Yeah, and like you're saying, actually, I think Hunu has actually thrown quite a bit of attention towards fingerprint. I think actually they lost a Tayen game because they were over focused on fingerprint. So it does seem to be something that they're particularly thinking that either just a part of their normal sniper adaptations, or that they think that Astatine is more likely to do fingerprints than the rest. And so far, it's mostly been correct.
Yeah. So we are one of a few highlights here. We're not the only one, which means that we're not guaranteed dead here, but it is just testing the sniper. Can you remember everything, right? That's the game here. Asking not doing anything fancy. It's just, do you remember I have prints and inspects and I've got contact? And the answer, it appears, is going to be no.
Yeah, I think just hesitancy there. So that I think finally this could have been an adaptation from Astatine. Hoodoo has been very patient this set and has worked out. This was actually just a force of are you going to shoot me or not, right? So Astatine has shown sometimes where they've had trouble finishing up early enough to cause Hunu trouble. Although actually that wasn't true on that one Tayen game. They're keeping track of fingerprint. And then Astatine just dares him to shoot. It's just contact, seduce, inspect, fingerprint. And I think Hoodoo had track on all of them and just didn't think that it was the spy.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe just didn't quite have the fingerprint like we thought because we saw the highlight on the side inspect, but we had seen other guests get away without that highlight, so I had assumed that it was for the prints, but maybe it wasn't. It's always hard to interpret lights perfectly. Playing as sniper is a very cerebral thing, happens mostly inside your own head. So we can't ever say exactly what Hunu thought, but it is a good game from Assatine just putting Hunu to the test, saying, this just have your fundamentals down. If you don't, I'm gonna win.
Yeah, and it like even like this, like the laser snapped over to Seek when they put the statue down, and they really wanted to, but they just couldn't quite pull the trigger. So, unfortunate for Hunu, but then Hunu's got a chance to fire back, but it is going to be an uphill battle from here, giving up the sniper advantage.
All right, let's get on into the next game. Hunu playing as Red Dress in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
All right, let's see what we got here. We're AI controlled for a while in here. We're gonna look like we're flirting with Seek, so we got to stay away from Seek actually the rest of this game. But probably not going to be too much of a big deal. But just something to throw out there. 'Cause actually, our seduction target was also at Windows. All right, rote flirt, 33%, or sorry, 32%. And then looking around, so Ambassador would be throwing a fingerprint on green bookcase. Salmon is at center statue. Oh, actually, that might have been center, not center statue. Double agent is available. Suspected double agent's in a terrible spot. Actually, the salmon going almost statue to statue. Is that straight statue to statue? I actually can't tell if they actually got redirected in somewhere. But
It
actually, quite a few
doesn't.
statue visitors.
Yeah, quite a few statue visitors is going to be definitely helpful for Hunu. However, the rest of the party is a little bit sparse feeling. No big clumps. The ambassador's in a relatively safe spot, but we do take a nice purloin here. I said no clumps, but there is that very back left conversation that Astine was taking a lot of attention towards. I think just looking for those potential microfilms, and instead we just get a purloin off. Purloin still bouncing around. We're gonna go center statues. Unfortunately, we get blocked a little bit by Duke here, so we're not gonna be able to finish these up unless Duke puts it down right now, which he does not. So unfortunate for Hunu there, but the purloin's still bouncing.
Still bouncing. It's going to go through Ambassador. Ambassador is going to walk away before the take.
I
And
think if
so
we
we
took
do
here,
still.
if we requested and took, that would have been very, very good given the circumstances.
And here's sorry. And what is the reaction? We do seem to be zoomed in. I think we do see the drink, or sorry, the list gone, but I don't see. I don't think we had any chance of that fade though. So sorry should be one of our top suspects.
Yeah, it would appear like that. AstatineEffect starting to take lights based on this purloin. We're not a low light. We're still a highlight for that center inspect, but I can't imagine we're that big of a suspect for the purloin.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the big test is going to be if General gets any light action, because General was the reject after us. So anything that happens to us would have to go through General. You would imagine at the very least. We have a second zoom in on Purloin. Surely we saw it earlier, but we
Yeah,
do
we
seem to be
definitely
not
saw it.
grabbing that much though.
Flirt is done here. You know, one thing that might be a problem for Hunu is that some snipers will revert a little bit more to more behavioral things when they miss that hardtail like this, and we have been very aggressive about flirting with General here as a highlight who very well could have center inspects done. So I would not be surprised if we end up just getting shot just because we've gotten those center inspects, we've gotten full inspects, and we had a little bit of very spy-like pacing right near the end of the game. It could be a problem, but this is a pretty good spot overall, I would say. Oh,
We're
swap!
baiting swap. We baited swap. We baited swap. We baited
Swap!
swap, and we're gonna get rewarded, and we're gonna get shot. It's such a bait by Astatine. So we swung the laser over. You can actually. So okay, I'm gonna back up here a second. The reason why I am convinced this is a bait is if you look at the size of the screen that we threw off to the right hand side over there, it's a bunch of blank space that isn't actually doing anything. That to me, if we're centering our screen on the right hand side, it's because we're trying to demonstrate as hard as possible that we are giving up that location. And if you wanted to swap, it's a good opportunity because here I am looking over in this corner. And then we lingered there long enough that there would be a swap opportunity. And then we swung back to check for the swap. So good little play there. So I think that swap was actually not the right thing for us, but we made it seem like more of an option.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of camera shake from Hunu, so there is. I'm not sure if that was because it was a white test or because the swap happened at all. But it is a little bit surprising that that would be the play that we go for when the Purloin feels so clean. So whatever it was, a mistake, a bait, or just the wrong decision from Hunu, that means Esting is back in the lead for the first time since that early break on Tayen. And it's only 2 games into Ballroom, which is his own uh, multiply here in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, there's more Ballroom, so there'll be the ability to come back from it, but that is going to be now finally shaping up to be a difficult task for Hunu.
All right, AstatineEffect now on the spy side. If we put this one away as Astatine, you've got to be feeling really, really good about your spot in this set because we are up to what 6-4, and if you get a spy win here at 7-4 with only two games left to clinch the win, that feels really good. So big game here. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That's a great question. It's is it first to nine for Master and Grandmaster?
Yeah, it's first to 9.
Got it. All right. Well, we're just gonna be hanging out here at the. We're gonna be watching where for our seduction target, see where they end up going. We might. Are we gonna be so bold to try to do a purloin action here? We went. We made ourselves the next offer. Nope. Just a normal drink take, and then we're gonna. Oh, I think we wanted to use the drink take move option to get a seduction, but they are at statues, so no doing there. And so instead, we're just gonna have a little tiny bit of burn time and slow start as we observe the party and see if there's any opportunities around. Contact. Well, unfortunately, double agents at statues, but otherwise, there are a lot of people in conversation circles. So we're probably going to take this.
Yeah, here it goes. Good call, Slappy. A little bit unfortunate for Astina. SDA is not in a conversation, so you actually can narrow this party down and get highlights on all the people who had real, if Hunu's kind of on top of that. But it doesn't seem like, at least not in a way that Hunu's going to use lights on it. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that indeed. And well, I mean, so we're gonna do this next little cross conversation for it's gonna be such minimal progress that it's almost not even to me worth it unless we're watching for something during this that we think there's an opportunity coming up, maybe with Purloin or something. But if we're
I would
just
say
waiting around here, it's not gonna be for much.
I would say that I would have liked to see us wait a little bit longer for a bug opportunity as Emba leaves the blue bookcases because of how Emba's going to path over towards the right side of the venue, and we can intercept that because we can predict it. When the Emba is like in a very extreme corner or edge of the venue, just the paths and predicting them become a lot easier, and bugs, really fancy looking double walking bugs become a lot more plausible.
Yeah. And we decided to take the book away as kind of an opportunity to, one, get a seduction target and then go put it back. I'm positive we're putting this back. I don't think we're going to be doing any transfer shenanigans. It was a clear fingerprint. We're actually getting stared down for the microfilm. Ooh, actually, seduction target's going to green. Are we going to use this opportunity? We're going to use this opportunity to transfer right after I was saying there's no way we're going to do this direct. Who knew? You have to catch this kind of direct transfer. It was right in your face earlier and it's so far it looks clean.
Yeah, and this is actually a lot harder to catch. Oh, this book is printable too. So Ashton just takes out a book, and now we're just one foot away from the spy win, and this looks super clean. This is I think a harder microfilm to catch than characterize it as because there's actually quite a bit of visual clumping in that area given the angle that Hunu's taking, and so it's very easy to lose track of that. Astin takes the last flirt, and this looks like it's just going to be a knockout game.
Yes, absolutely. No, well, just like when we had such a clear view of the initial take, and like I thought we for all the attention that Hunu has put towards fingerprint, we grabbed the fingerprintable book from Green Case, which
Right.
I thought we would memorize, right? Just because like okay, well he's got green, he's walking away with it. I even thought that we were actually camping out pencil. But I guess Ambassador was in motion when we walked away, so there's a chance that we just forgot entirely. Really clever use of grabbing the book right afterwards, or he didn't actually need to do anything else except for just grab that. So well
Yeah.
done by AstatineEffect to really call out the blind spots in Who the Sniper.
Yeah, and generally I agree with you in that direct transferring a book that had a fingerprint on it is going to be a play that's going to work out less than if the book had not had a fingerprint on it. I just think that the particular aspects of this party at the time that we went for it, Ambassador isn't in a ton of danger, but is kind of up in front and center. So we're going to be like in this background of the ambassador and potential people who are bugging. And of course, we have a little bit of split attention over on the green bookshelves, as you mentioned near the end of that game, and just the way the conversations were, lots of that visual clumping. And when it's harder to see you, it's harder to remember you. It's just true.
Absolutely.
All right, Hunu now really in a bit of a pickle here. Need this spy win to stay in contention for the win. If AstatineEffect wins this, it's a draw or nothing for Hunu. Going here, playing as General to start us off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And also, I would say that Astatine just playing a little bit more assertively than they were earlier in the game. So they actually were kind of coming into form. I presume also just because this being week one, that I'm not playing anything early. This is their first match, so they might have been coming off of a maybe a slight break, if not just like practicing a little bit. Where I think actually uh, uh, their first actual action was a red test on Seduce at the bookcase on Redwoods. So they might have just been like shaking off some of the rust, and this is the AstatineEffect that we're all more familiar with these smart moments of aggressive play, just coming in at the wrong time for Hunu, unfortunately.
Yeah, Hunu now going in for an early briefcase print. I don't mind this. It's very obvious. Oh, we just gulped. Like we just took this drink. Yeah, we're picking up a highlight for at the very least the print, potentially the gulp.
Yeah, I'm curious about that, right? Which players are going to be particularly sensitive to gulps or not? I mean, because it's going to be hard to tell, like you're saying, because the fingerprint's involved. But Hunu could be in a terrible spot if we're paying attention. We also break animation as we leave that.
All
Well,
right.
and what is unfortunate is we broke animation to leave that conversation circle that Seduction Target was entering at that exact moment. And Seduction Target keeps trying to join us. We'll see if it actually works. We get a low light, oh, but not actually quite joining us. We're probably just going to go back to back on this conversation. Yeah, indeed. And our Seduction Target gets a little bouncing low light. So they're off the table for us. But Hunu does get the green test, so at least we got something for it.
Yeah, and if we didn't have this highlight sticking to us potentially for that gulp, I would feel a lot better about where we are in this game. Of course, time is a little bit of an issue, but we do have that one more mission to come, and the prints on the way as well. So we just need to find one more thing. And General's a very good walking bug character, so we like found a walking bug right now, went in, found our last flirt, got a print. That feels pretty good, but that highlight just sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, and like you're saying, the highlight really is going to be giving us trouble on anything that can get tracked really strongly. So we honestly, the best thing that I feel like we could do is try to rush this down, not let the rest of the party settle too much. Well, I guess it would depend on whether or not the party was being too active or not. Let me look at this party. I don't think so, though. I think this is going to be a problem of I don't think that the party is going to be giving that many more suspects than it already has. So we need to actually be the instigator of action in this particular moment. And we need to, one, chase down this flirt. We cannot stay here any
Yeah,
longer.
46 seconds left on the clock. That's just not enough time. We've had a couple potential opportunities for bug, but instead we're going to go in for this print, and we should have redirected off that bookcase for sure. Full etiquette break there from Hunu, but it's not something that's going to be noticed super super often unless you're the biggest suspect in the party. At this point, it's worth taking the etiquette break. Oh, and we go for. I think that might have been an attempt at a bug, but we actually just break animation on the read, and I think that's what took the shot in the end.
Yeah, I think that right there we were trying to do something like I think we probably started bugging before the body turned enough. So I think we were probably just like spamming bug, thought that it was happening because clearly like we wanted that, and we pathed around ambassador and got stuck there because there was no reason to take that book. So what was our plan there? If we got that bug, we'd be able to take that book over to seduction target, maybe finish. If we didn't hit a green test, we could dump the book for just getting a finish done. But unfortunately, nothing doing there.
Yeah, India now going from what started out pretty even, 4-4, uh, and Astine just tore away with it on Ballroom with that 4-0, a very, very astute double there from Astine. And now playing for the win for the next 4 games in a row is Astatine on the spy side of gallery to start. Pretty hard one to do, so I would mostly be expecting a 9-5 scoreline in the end, but we've been surprised before. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Town of Chaos, not too bad. Ambassador kind of pathing away from every single person. So even though the large paintings were cluttered with people, which can often be a big problem for Sniper if Ambassador goes by and gives them all a drive opportunity, nothing going, and then just a couple of grabs here, and a green test seduction. Let's see. No initial highlights on statues in there, so we're probably just aware of who's been there. But actually, a decent number of statue visitors for gallery, so that will actually probably cause some problems later for Hunu if we're trying to track in specs.
Yeah, that's always what makes for the most difficult gallery games for me is when you have like four guests at statues right at the start. It just puts so much more effort onto your memorization and reduces your ability to catch other things in that time of chaos. And it's just a lot more difficult when there's that early rush to statues. Unfortunately, AstatineEffect did take out a couple of those visitors with that contact, and it's not even for real.
Yeah, did I actually wasn't paying attention enough to was did DA bail on us for that, or was that an intentional fake?
Um, it was an intentional fake.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, honestly, those probably aren't taken enough on gallery. Spies tend to play pretty honest. I think in general. Okay, here we have another
Oh,
contact with Purloin at the same
this is
time.
very nicely timed. All of this at once. Ambassador's outside. Contact comes off. Here comes the purloin
Bug.
from Asatine.
Oh my
We go.
god.
Oh no, no! I really like the idea there, but it's just going to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we had that. We had everything in there was great except for the stop in the arm, right? Like
Yeah,
that is such a hard bug to execute. You'd have to do like a full reverse and use the opportunity to go back with Ambassador because Ambassador's rocking cross. Maybe Astatine was expecting Ambassador to stop at that statue pad and grab statue instead.
yeah.
But going opposite directions as Ambassador, you have to do something kind of awkward and bump up with them if you're going to keep that bug sticking.
Yeah, and these kind of like stop in the middle of walking to make sure the bug sticks ideas are something that make a really strong player and someone who's really good at performing bugs. However, in this like you really have to do it in scenarios where your arm's just not going to be waving to the sniper afterwards. In this case, that's what's going to happen, especially since our ambassador is half the fastest bird in the game. Um, and is just going to leave you hanging quite literally in this case, right out in the open. And so yeah, I like the idea behind the rush. I just think that when you have so much going for you already with the contact, the purloin, the ambassador being outside for all of it, you don't need to take this risk.
Yeah, and like the idea that was involved in there was wonderful, though, of course, which was if let's say that happened 2 seconds later, we might not even been seen for the bug because Perlin was going off at the same
Right,
time.
exactly.
But like the thing is, you can't actually do bug when right as Perlin's going off. You actually would be wanting to do it right as they're checking the fade. So really close there, like really just fun and aggressive idea, but yeah,
Yeah.
just a little mistimed.
And Lefty saying something in chat that I really strongly agree with, is that that's a nice bug for a practice game. That's something that you do to really test your limits, to see what you can get away with, and just like figure out the wacky things you can do on Spy to really upset a sniper. And that's what makes great spies. However, this is a competitive set, and it really did not work out this case.
Yeah, and speaking also of great spies, they did use the correct layout. We have to praise the players whenever they use correct layouts, even though oftentimes we can be lazy and just pick the old layouts. So good job. We do have all 4 minutes on these ones.
Yep, Hunu now on the Spy side. Again, Astine playing for wins in 3 more games, and this is probably going to be the most difficult of them all. Gallery sniper win rate is very high. So let's see if Hunu can upset that sniper win rate and upset Astatine in particular, because Astatine's been sniping very well so far this set. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So I know that obviously you enjoy Ballroom more than any other venue, but let's say you're trying to be if you're sniping either map, which one would you rather snipe if you didn't get to play Spy, Gallery, or Ballroom?
I'd still rather snipe Ballroom. It's just more fun.
I'm asking about fun. I'm talking about competitiveness, but that might be the same for you.
From a pure competitive standpoint, I'm actually not sure which would be higher on my sniper win rates. Probably Gallery, just because it is such a hard venue for Spy in a lot of ways compared to Ballroom. So if you told me you're going to snipe 10 games, you want to win as many as possible, which venue do you choose? I guess I would have to go with Gallery, but I just not enjoyed making that choice.
All right, Gallery lover confirmed. Also, we did do a timeout right at the beginning here. There was the exact amount of time that Astatine had to zoom out, see that there was a watch check from Teal, and zoom back in.
Oh, and that's bad, bad, bad. Look at that highlight. We've done nothing else, and now we've red tested our ST.
Yeah. So, okay, the fact that that was a relatively subtle highlight, and it came because also, of course, with a green test time ad, you actually don't confirm that for like another like 10 seconds when the clock slows down enough. So, unfortunately, this is almost certainly doom for Hunu. Never a bad idea to just throw a time ad in there for gallery, but Astatine took the exact correct moment to zoom out, see that the watch check had happened, zoom back in, cover the rest of their bases, and then check back in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I also saw a little bit of a nod from the sniper camera, which indicates to me that AstatineEffect is on 90+% on who the spy is here, and Astatine proves me correct by taking the shot onto Hunu, ending this set off as predicted, 9-5. Very well done from Astatine, just tore away in that middle, and then sniped for the victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying, through the first set, Hunu actually through the first few sets, Hunu looking very even with AstatineEffect, which was just a great showing by them. But then Astatine starting to put the pressure on in the areas in which Hunu had struggled, which is one like taking shots that they needed to at risky moments, and just getting some really nice clean plays. But not a terrible set from Hunu. I don't think that they're going to be all that bummed with a 9-5, especially when they felt like they were playing pretty evenly with him for a while. And again, like you're saying, it was really that ballroom set.
Yeah, that ballroom really just was so good for Astine. And with that, we are done with our cast for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out and watching. We had some pretty exciting, matches today. It's like lots of really good spy play, in my opinion. So always love to be here for that. Thank you, Slappy Davis, for being here. You're one of my favorite people to cast with, and I'm just so overjoyed we could get back to doing that for SML. And of course, thank you so much to Nebula, our league organizer, our cast organizer, and our host for today. Did a wonderful job. So thank you so much. And with that, we are going to be signing off. If you'd like to see more Spy Party, you can follow us here at twitch.tv/SpyParty. There's also pretty frequent casts over on twitch.tv/SpyPartyFans. If you're interested in the game, you can get it at www.spyparty.com or on Steam. And if you're interested in competitions like this, you can find us over in the Discord at discord.gg/SpyParty, where all announcements for casts and competitions will be made. So if you're new and you're interested, that's where you're going to find us. Thank you so much, everyone. Once again, we'll see you next time.